now. We the talk around town. Alex threw the ball to Smokey for a touchdown. It's fourth down and you don't really want no more. We've been winning from the door. You should check the scoreboard. Check the scoreboard.
Welcome back to another episode of the Scoreboard. It's week 1. We're back. It's football season again. Week 1 of the NFL season, and we have the predictions for you. Smokey, are you excited as I am for this new season?
Oh, man. That's like Christmas over here.
It's about time. It happened. Let's hop right into the games, not wasting any time. Once again, competition, by the way. We're predicting every single game every week by the end of the year. We'll probably be tied like we've been the past 2 years, or we're not, in which case, someone's going to win. But we'll get into week 1 right away with Thursday night game. Cowboys at the Bucs.
Well, I think the Bucs are definitely going to be favored in this one. Of course, they're coming off the Super Bowl win, and they are at home. However, as I predicted last week, I don't think the Bucs are going to be quite as good as I think they will be as good as they were at the first of the season this past year. And Tom Brady has to fall off at some point. The man is 44 years old. He can't do this forever. And I know they have a great receiving core. I know they have just a powerful offense in general and a great defensive line. But I'm picking the Cowboys here to win on the road because I think Dak, and he also has an awesome trio of receivers and a powerful run game. So if Dak is back and healthy, I could see him winning this game.
You like the Cowboys. I know in fantasy you like to speak about the trends, the cycles. Here's one trend that I tend to notice. Defenses get prepared quicker to start the season. In training camp in general, it's the majority of training camp reps. You see defenses win. That's all the reports. I'm a believer in that because the fact is that defense is less complicated. It's just simpler than offense in the NFL. And the Buccaneers have the best defense in the league. Arguably, they did last season. They probably do again this year. They are defending champions. They're playing at home. Dallas lost every preseason game. They were also on Hard Knocks, which never helps in terms of distractions. Now, preseason, no one really cares much about it, but they haven't looked that great. I'm going with the Bucs. I'm going to say Bucs hold them to probably single-digit points. I'm gonna say single-digit points, and Tampa Bay's taking the win. Would be a big upset if they didn't, for sure.
Yeah.
Jaguars at the Texans.
All right, I'm going to get into this, but I will say real quick, one of the most fluctuating things in football and fantasy football is defenses and where they are at from one season to the next. You'll take the first, the most powerful defense of last season and end up losing with that team because they fluctuate so much. But this will be a defensive season. And this right here is probably going to be a defensive game because neither one of these offenses are ready to do much, in my opinion. You got Trevor Lawrence with the Jags coming in. This is his first season. I expect he's going to take a few games at least, if not more, if not half a season, just to get acclimated to the NFL. But on the other hand, you have the Texans, who are absolutely nothing, and Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback right now, so I expect them to, I don't know, the Jags are probably going to win this 9-0 or something like that.
Wow, okay, that's not very optimistic. Listen, I like this Jaguars offense maybe a bit more than you do. I know they're young, we haven't seen much, very inexperienced, but Trevor Lawrence is a generational talent. That quarterback is going to start. They have 3 legitimate starting caliber running backs. They could run a committee back there. They could give anyone the ball anytime. And they have young receivers that, as a fantasy head, about Laviska Shenault. He's bound to break out. A lot of people very high on him. This is a sleeper, dangerous offense. This is a top 10 kind of offense, potentially.
Eventually.
This is highly possible this year, and this is the game that they come out shooting. I think they're gonna serve the Texans up hot. I think this is probably gonna be a double-digit blowout. I'm gonna take the Jaguars because I think they're in a good spot for some offensive fireworks, and the Texans are, I don't know, they're in shambles. I don't know what they're lost. J.J. Watt, Deshaun Watson not playing, not looking too good, not looking very good at all. So Jaguars win it. Chargers at the footballs, the Washington, the team.
Man, I'm really curious to see how this experiment works out with Ryan Fitzpatrick there in Washington, because we've seen him fluctuate. We've seen him fluctuate from game to game, not only from season to season or week to week, but in the middle of games. We've seen Ryan Fitzpatrick throw 4 interceptions at the beginning of a game and then throw 4 touchdowns in the second half of the game. But the Chargers should be back to full power. They should be ready. We got the Justin Herbert there. He's rolling into his second season. He should be ready for this game. He's going to lead the Chargers to easily beat Washington.
Easily. Listen, so many people are so high on Washington this year. Like, you're looking at on Twitter and you see people having them like third in the NFC, and I'm at where is that coming from? Yeah, they probably have a pretty good defense, could kind of rush the passer, but that's not all of it. That's not all you need. You need to play offense as well. I don't buy the hype. I think this is like a 500 kind of team. I really don't see the hype of them even winning the division. I have the Chargers to win as well. I believe in Justin Herbert a lot. Dark horse candidate for the MVP, top 5 quarterback in the league. Justin Herbert coming into his second year. Not expecting much of a drop off. In fact, he's going to lead the Chargers to a good season, starting in Washington against the Footballs with an easy win. Seahawks at the Colts.
Man, this right here, I imagine that Vegas has Seahawks winning by a hefty margin, because the general football world does not believe in Carson Wentz anymore. And as we've discussed on the past couple of episodes, we still believe in Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
I think Carson Wentz is going to be great with this Colts, especially behind that big offensive line. And it's going to come down to, do we let Russ cook here, or are they going to try to keep up this power run scheme? I think the Seahawks do take this one, but I think this is going to be an offensive battle. I know defenses are going to be great. It's the first season. I think this entire season defenses are going to be great across the board, and it's going to be a defensive season overall, coming off that great offensive season we had. But here, I think this is going to be an offensive battle, and I think it's going to come down to Russ versus Carson Wentz in the end, and I'm taking Russ to get this one.
All right, here's what I'm going to say. This Seattle roster is not a very good team. A lot of people will not want to hear this, but there's a time coming where this team will get exposed to what they are, which is they're turning into the Packers. They're relying on their generational quarterback and not a whole lot of anything else around them. That team, that entire core, has shriveled up around him. You got Bobby Wagner still there, and okay, you got some of the young receivers, they're good, but this is not the same Seattle team we've seen 5 years ago. This is not the dominating both sides of the football kind of Seattle. This is the Russell Wilson show now. The Colts, a little bit more stable, better offensive line, better defense. I believe in the Colts a lot. If Carson Wentz could put it together, this is a much better football team. If he cannot, however, Seattle will win. Now, it's his first game starting for Indianapolis, and I would not be surprised if the Colts ended up with a better record by the end of the season, but I will go with the Seahawks as well on this one. I don't think they'll have a lot of success in the long run. Probably not win a lot of games in their division because they're the weakest roster, but coming out, maybe a little bit of rust need to be shaken up for Carson Wentz, and Seattle's going to take advantage of that. So Seattle wins at Indy. Got the Jets and Panthers.
Man, revenge game right here. They had to have scheduled this on purpose.
On purpose.
This was not by accident whatsoever. Now, how good are the Jets once you got rid of Gase? Adam Gase is gone, so as we've seen in the past, all the offensive units that have ever been under Gase have actually excelled without Gase. So, but then again, you also have Sam Darnold, who was under Gase also. I think this Panthers team could be decent, but I don't know. The NFL world is not excited about Sam Darnold after the past 3 seasons. Overall, though, I think it's going to take a little bit. I'm really weary of first games of rookie quarterbacks. I'm going to take the Panthers to win this one at home.
There is not a player in this league I'm more excited for starting the season than Sam Darnold. And that's of course, exactly what you said. He's flying on the radar. People don't care about him. 3 years of Gase, he survived. He's still in the league. That's an accomplishment. So clap for Sam Darnold, first of all. 3 years with the Jets, starting. Jets things happened. He's still there. He didn't get cut, so he's good enough to not be out of the league completely, which means that there's definitely some there. Now, this Carolina offense could be for real. Christian McCaffrey, potentially the most explosive offensive player in the league. If he's healthy, he's going to be a big contribution. I'm predicting the Sam Darnold, comeback season 2.0. He's gonna pop off, I believe. He's gonna throw some real fireworks, and this is his chance to show it. I really like the Panthers this year, and I've said this many times. There's a non-zero chance, actually a decent chance to me, that the Panthers have the best quarterback in this division this year, and I'm gonna stand with that with this pick for sure, because they're beating the Jets. I like Zach Wilson, but Jets are in a major overhaul. New head coach, first-time head coach, new quarterback, not the most experienced one. Panthers are going to win this. Vikings at Bengals.
Well, the Vikings are not exciting on offense, although you do have Cook at running back, who is probably second in line right under Christian McCaffrey as far as the most explosive running back in the league. The Bengals, can they put together their team, or put their team back together from what was falling apart last year? Joe hasn't really shown in training camp that he is back to normal. I think he was actually even almost scared of being hit at some point in this preseason. I'm going to take just slow and steady Kirk Cousins and the Vikings to get the win here. I think the Bengals may get better and better as the season goes on, but I don't think right here they're going to win this game at all.
Yeah, week 1 is for safe picks, right? We don't know any of these teams. Like, we don't know how it's going to develop. We make the safe picks just from experience, and the Vikings are very clearly the favorite in that regard. Now, they're not as exciting, but you said it's slow and steady, could win the race. We know Joe Burrow has the potential to be much better than Kirk Cousins ever been. Will they do it week 1 after coming back from injury his second year? Doubtful. Too many question marks. The Vikings are the less exciting pick, but the safer pick, so it's definitely the correct choice. I'm gonna go with them as well, because they're just in a better rhythm, most likely, than Cincinnati will be. Now, maybe down the line that will look differently, but at the moment I'm going with the Vikings. Speaking of the Cardinals, so Cardinals at Titans next year.
Wow, this will be exciting right here, I think. Both of these teams have really huge, exciting, explosive offenses. Titans mostly with the run games, but they do have downfield threats now. A.J. Brown is turned into an elite receiver, and they added Julio Jones. On the other hand, you have Kyler Murray, which could take off running at any moment. Plus, he also has probably an equivalence, if you think about it. Hopkins and Julio have been compared. And A.J. Green was actually across from Julio being drafted. He was actually drafted before Julio in the 2011 draft. Those guys were completely compared their whole life. So this is an exciting receiving core on both sides of the field, and it's going to come down to, I think, is Kyler Murray better than Ryan Tannehill? As weird as that sounds, because they are two different types of quarterbacks, but that's what this game's going to come down to in the end, because I think both of their receiving cores are pretty much equal. You can't really draw this big difference in the defensive units on these teams, or really in the running games, if you break it down. I mean, you do have Derrick Henry, who is probably the most powerful running back, if you want to say. He doesn't catch passes, but he is a basically one-dimensional running back, whereas the Cardinals can pass to their running backs at any moment. All in all, I'm going to go with the Titans here because they're at home, and I think this is a toss-up.
Well, I'm sure you're very happy that your Falcons picked the Alabama product in set draft. You were just talking about there with Julio Jones. I mean, for the love of God, let the Titans win this game. I would be surprised. Well, I shouldn't say surprised, but slightly shocked if Arizona was clicking like from game number 1. I know they have a lot of potential on that roster. But that would be very, very dangerous to see them starting off hot. Titans should be one of the most consistent teams because they can lean on that run game so heavily with both those threats now, Julio and A.J. Brown. Like, this should be a real team. And Ryan Tannehill has shown for a couple of years he can conduct the offense, Tom Brady style, Kirk Cousins style. And that's exactly what he needs. He needs to hand the ball off, find his weapons, and make the plays that he's asked to do. Do nothing superhuman. I like the Titans a lot as a very solid team, and I'm gonna say they're gonna win. maybe also slightly favored because they're at home, but also slightly because I'm really hoping that the Cardinals are not going to pull this upset off. And the reason for that is because my Niners are also playing in the same division, and they're playing at Detroit this week.
Yes. All right. I'm going to give you a reason I'm picking this, and you got to follow me here. Okay. And I know you're going to disagree.
I only need a reason if you're picking the Lions. That's all I need. I don't need many reasons.
Absolutely. That's what I'm doing. And I'm going to tell you why. No, of course, Vegas is going to be on the 49ers. And speaking of slow and steady, Garoppolo is going to be starting this game unless news has changed recently that I didn't see. And maybe I would... I don't know. I would say maybe I would change my mind if Lance was starting, but if it was later in the season and Lance was starting, maybe I would change my mind. But here is my only reason for picking the Lions, and that is because Jared Goff knows how to beat the 49ers. And we have seen this happen so many times recently. I know Goff's not exciting top tier quarterback, but he knows how to beat the 49ers, and I just wanted to pick opposite of you, so I'm picking the Lions.
Okay. So, number one, you're assuming I pick San Francisco. Number two,
yes.
If Matthew Stafford was on this team, instead of Jared Goff, you'd say the Lions had less of a chance. Is that correct?
Yeah, I really would, even though that's weird to say. But yes.
And number three, saying Jared Goff knows how to beat the Niners. I mean, the guy who was talking in his ear all day in LA had like a rough idea of how to beat the 49ers, maybe. But that's about as far as it goes. I mean, come on. I know you want to pick a contrary to mine, and of course, you're damn right I'm picking the 49ers. It'd be blasphemy not to. They better beat him. I mean, Jared Goff's traveled across the country to get away from that division, and for week one, right here they come. So, yeah, I mean, they better win this game. If not, I'm going to have some troubles. Jimmy starting, completely disrespected, underrated. People talking about the rotating the quarterbacks and Trey Lance should start day one. There's just zero need for that. No need at all for any of those kind of stunts. Jimmy's going to start. The offense is going to click. Run the ball, blow out the Lions. I'm saying they beat them by 15 points or more. Just doubling down because you dare to pick the Lions, I have to put a score on it. So 15 points or more, and that is a bet offer as well. This is going to be one of the worst blowouts of the week. 15 points, that's my bet if you want to take that later. But Steelers at Bills.
Wow, this is probably the toughest game for me to pick. It sounds, after I did so much for Josh Allen last year, I have to kind of walk it back because I see the regression coming. And I do think the Steelers are actually going to, well, you can't say progress. They're going to regress back to a former state. However you want to say that. It's more of a progression, but it's somewhere they'd been before. I don't know.
You call it a renaissance.
Yeah, there you go. It's a renaissance for the Steelers. I think the Steelers are going to be really good. I think they're going to win their division. I think they're going to make a deep playoff run. And people are really disagreeing with that after what they did at the end of the season, after going almost undefeated for, 12, 13 games. Man, this is such a tough game to pick, but I'm going to stick with the Bills just because I think the Bills continue winning at the first of the season, and I see it falling apart. I'm not saying they're going to be bad, but I don't see them having as good of a season as they had last season. I think it's going to fall apart at some point, but I'm going with them to beat the Steelers in this case.
Yeah, a lot of the criticism of the Steelers has to do with them also possibly being third best team in their division. And it's sort of an uphill battle that they haven't really seen much that they're kind of looking at now because there's a lot of pressure on them. Bills, again, they're a fantastic team. They're on the up. They might be the best. They are the best team in their division going into the season, no doubt. Judging from last year, I'm assuming they're going to make sure to establish that position this year. Josh Allen, just a MVP waiting to happen. That offense is super explosive when they added Stephon Diggs, and I think they're in for like 13 wins again. I think they're looking really, really good. So I'll take Buffalo to beat the Steelers there. Eagles at Falcons.
Well, man, is it too early to say tank ball? because
Man, it's a bit gnarly to say it when they haven't played a game, but I see where you're getting. Yeah, I feel your pain. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see both of these teams winning 5 games this season, and it's tough because that is my favorite team, the Falcons, but I can't see them winning at all. Or as far as this game, the Eagles are just as bad. They have nothing to be excited for either. I'll pick the Falcons just because they're at home, and this is probably a toss-up game, and it's my team, so I'll stick with them until they really lose it.
Let's pick the Falcons. Okay.
Yeah.
The thing is with I hate the Eagles quarterback situation so much.
Yeah,
it's hard for me. It's hard, Jalen Hurts. There's many doubts I have. I really don't believe in Jalen Hurts as an NFL starting quarterback, and I think it's gonna come back to bite them. Eagles have both of these teams have some parallels. Number one, they're both birds, right? Number two, they've completely disintegrated over the past 3 years from being on top of the NFC to just tank bowl without having played a game. But Matt Ryan's still there in Atlanta, and that's what's going to make the difference for me here. I think the Eagles probably have a better overall roster, maybe better defense, but I want to see this Jalen Hurts thing work. I really do, before I'm putting anything on the Eagles. So Atlanta for me as well. I'm going to pick them. By the way, I don't know if you have seen it, but everyone watching, John Boyce from Secret Base, they did a fantastic segment on the Falcons, 3.5 hour, the entire history of the Atlanta Falcons.
Yes.
Phenomenal 7-part video series. Recommend everyone go watch it. It's the best.
Yeah, it's
just
amazing.
Wanted to shout that out. Browns at the Chiefs.
Well, my post-hype sleepers are no longer post-hype sleepers. They are the hyped favorites in this division. Yeah. They're going to be worse this season. I can't see. Maybe it happens. Maybe they're as good as last season, but at least 80% of cases that happen just like the Browns happened, they fall off the next season. So I'm going to take the Chiefs to win this one. I mean, who's better than the Chiefs? The Chiefs are going to win this. They shouldn't have a problem.
I mean, the teams you could ever make an argument being better as the Chiefs right now, you could definitely count off on one hand. I will agree with you. Yeah, I'll take Kansas City for sure. They're so explosive, and the Browns, this is a high-class game. Don't get me wrong. And there's more than one person in the world right now who has this as his Super Bowl pick, and he's not going to be booed out of town. Actually, no. I'm. What am I talking about? The AFC Championship game pick, Super Bowl pick. They're going to be booed out of town, but AFC Championship game. This is entirely possible. It is possible. I'm going to go Kansas City as well. It's the reliable pick. It just makes sense. Packers at Saints.
Well, the Saints, have you heard that Latavius Murray has been cut?
Yes, I have heard of that, yeah.
Yeah, their running backs are looking very thin at the moment.
Yeah, you got Alvin Kamara.
Yeah, how good is
That's
Jameis? We haven't seen Jameis play in over a year now, so how good is Jameis? Is Jameis really better? I guess we saw him in preseason, but does that really count? It's tough. It's tough. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to have quite the season he had last year either. It just doesn't happen back to back. But as far as this one, I think Aaron Rodgers is still better than Jameis.
It took you a while to say that, yeah. Like you were thinking about it.
I'm gonna go with the Packers on the road. Okay. They should win this.
Yeah, it's like if you look at it like a right angle, everything. Aaron Rodgers is probably a bit better of a quarterback than Jameis was. Yeah. I do agree with you on that one. Yes. So this is going to be Aaron Rodgers single-handedly beating a Saints team that is first game with a new starting quarterback. We know Jameis could be okay, but they have a lot of stuff to figure out, and the Packers are going to win because they have Aaron Rodgers. And by the way, you say it's impossible to do it back to back.
Not impossible, just rarely happens.
Rarely happens. Maybe it happens sort of like once in a lifetime sort of thing. That's typically the type of thing that Aaron Rodgers does. So depending on how motivated he is, he certainly can. He's the best player in the league. So and he's gonna beat the Saints at New Orleans. Broncos at the Giants.
Man, speaking of best player in the league, these guys don't have any best players in the league at any positions. I do think the Giants are going to be decent this season, as I pointed out, and I think that we may see the quarterback wide receiver duo over there with Galladay and Mahomey. This is really tough, though. I don't think the Giants are just going to come out guns blazing, and I don't think Teddy Bridgewater, who is basically a poor man's Kirk Cousins, I don't think he's going to come out and just light the world on fire. Although they do have an amazing receiving core there, so if he's going to do it, this is probably the best situation he's ever been in to do it. But so this comes down to a toss-up to me. I'm gonna take the Giants and give them the 3-point advantage at home.
When you said that a lot of these teams have the best player in the league, I started thinking about it. Best I could come up with was Von Miller.
Yeah,
It goes to show you how
ago.
quick. Yeah, it goes to show you how quickly, like in those kinds of positions, the mood sort of changes. He's out for one season with injury. No one's even talking about it anymore.
Not at all.
I'll pick Denver. You pick Giants. Okay, I'll go with Denver.
Right.
We have, of course, like the least exciting quarterback situation in the world. Actually, both the least exciting quarterback situation in the world. You got Teddy Bridgewater and Drew Lock, who are probably going to both get their share. This big, just trying to out underwhelm each other. And then there's Daniel Jones, who you are a bit higher on than me. Me mostly
Yes.
because of the team he's on and the offense he's plays, and not necessarily because of him. I like him. Not a big, like a lot of people. I can tell you now that like at the same time as Browns, Chiefs, Packers, Saints, and Dolphins, Patriots, there's not a lot of people watching this game. Like this is not the TV ratings on this one not gonna be through the roof. So I'll take the Broncos, but move on to Dolphins at Patriots.
Wow, this is going to be exciting. I really think it is. We're going to see old Alabama quarterback versus the next Alabama quarterback. That's kind of cool if you think about it, really. And Dolphins and Patriots have a lot in common overall, not just Alabama quarterbacks. I think the Dolphins still have a better overall offense. And as far as coaches, it's yet to be determined if Brian Flores may be as good as Bill Belichick. Which I think he has a chance.
Is that to be determined in the same way that Jameis Winston can still catch up with Aaron Rodgers?
That's to be determined. I'm talking myself into this pick, man. Hold on. I think Tua is overall better than Mac Jones. So I'm going with the Dolphins to go up to New England and beat the Patriots.
I really like both of these quarterbacks. I think Mac Jones is going to be a standout. He might be the best rookie quarterback this year, and that's with Trevor Lawrence starting day one. Because of how smart he is, how well he's going to be in charge of that offense. And yeah, this is going to be flashes of Tom Brady, because this offense is going back to its old ways in a hurry. With the playmaker, the game manager, I should say, not the playmaker. That was Cam Newton for a year. Yeah, the game manager, quarterback style, which seems to fit that roster pretty well. Now, there's two reasons I'm picking the Dolphins. One, because a little bit more experience there, and I like Tua just as well as new Mac Jones, plus he's been here a year, and also just the satisfaction of being able to pick the Dolphins to beat the Patriots and not being made fun of for it at the start of a season. That's kind of a novelty. So I'm gonna go with Miami for sure. Chicago Bears at the Rams.
Man, I kind of wish Justin Fields was starting this game. I would give them more of a chance, but we know how good Matt Stafford can be, and he's on a much better team now. So, Andy Dalton. It's Andy Dalton. Why is Andy Dalton starting?
He's made the playoffs. He's won more playoff games than Matthew Stafford, I will have you know.
Yeah, I guess he has. Yeah, I mean, that's true. Matt Stafford's never won one. I think he's only been to one or two, maybe.
If at all, yeah.
Yeah. But have I ever mentioned that I don't believe in Matt Nagy?
You have. I think I recall that, yeah.
All right, well, I'll go with Sean McVay and the Rams.
Yeah, it's a good idea. I think there's a chance that by the end of the season that Matthew Stafford will have more playoff wins than Andy Dalton. But at the moment he doesn't. But he has more regular season wins, and he'll keep adding to that. This is kind of a no-brainer to me. Rams just got strictly better at the most important position. The Bears got, stayed strictly the same at the most important position in the least exciting way. Now Justin Fields is there, but he's probably not quite ready. He'll come in during the season. We know that basically for a fact, because Andy Dalton has to play MVP level for that not to happen.
Yeah.
That's just how it goes nowadays. The pressure is going to be unreal, and the same goes sadly for Jimmy Garoppolo and Trey Lance there as well. If like either of those teams are sitting around 500, the pressure is going to be so big that it'll be hard not to have them in. But yeah, Rams win it, and then closing out Monday night, the Ravens at the Raiders.
What if I picked the 8-8?
Yeah. Do it. Just do it.
Definitely. I can't do that. I gotta go with Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. This team is overall much better than the Raiders. Better coach, better quarterback, better run game, although their running backs are dropping like flies. Better receiving core overall. I mean, the Ravens are just way more dominant than the Raiders. The Raiders are going to win that game somewhere, but it's not going to be here.
Yeah. Don't forget their better defense as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Well, I mean, there's no reason that Baltimore should ever lose this game. Absolutely. The Raiders are going 8-1. I mean, that's what's gonna happen. That's what's objectively gonna happen. I don't know what else. I mean, they tried to have an odd number of games, so they couldn't be 800. They couldn't be 500 every single season. They'll still find a way, because that's how they are. That's what the Raiders are. They go 8-1, and this is a loss. This is a loss against Baltimore. So easy pick for me as well. Got the Ravens. We had some disagreements. Disagreements this week. Man, depending on that Niners-Lions game, on that outcome, someone is gonna really face the music next week. Like, someone's gonna really get an earful. Doesn't matter how it ends. Yeah. Doesn't matter how someone's gonna have to hear some talk. Yeah, I know that for sure.
It comes down to an overtime, last-minute field goal.
That if it comes down to overtime, I lose either way. Like, even if Niners win in overtime, you still gotta mock me for it, because if this game is not over by halftime, basically, it's my expectations are not met. 15 point spread. This is my offer, by the way. Do you want to take that bet? 15-point spread.
For and what are we betting? 1-1 or what?
2-1. I want 2-1 for that, because that's a big spread.
Yeah, I'll take that. I'll take it.
All right, I'm going to write that down after. Niners to win by 15 points or more.
I'm going way against Vegas, but I'll take that 15 points.
I don't know if Vegas has the Niners at 15-point favorites. I don't think so.
I'm just
definitely
saying,
not.
Straight
maybe
up.
Like 7 or 8, maybe like by a touchdown. But I believe, because of the run offense. So one can of Monster at 2-1 odds. Sounds good to me. Alright, everybody, thank you for watching. Drop us a like on the video and let us know your predictions. Do you have anything that you disagree with? I'd be curious to know. Maybe a different opinion on the Patriots. Maybe you think they're going to come out guns blazing and go back to their old ways of dominating the division. But for now, let us know in the comments what your picks are. Smokey, you have anything to add?
I think that's it for this week.
Alright, we'll see you in the next one.
Deuces.
Check the scoreboard. Ha. Check.